Alright guys, are you worried that you might be falling behind in the Valorant gun meta? Well, I'm so excited, man. Today, we're gonna have a quick crash course on the strongest weapons in Valorant. What's going on, guys? I'm your motivation guy, Keith Allen, and today, I'm gonna be going over which weapons are still OP in the current match. Because in Valorant, having the best weaponry based on your econ will just straight up win you more games. So hit that sub button, and let's get this going. So I want to preface this video by mentioning that this isn't a weapon tier list guide, all right? We're going to be mentioning and talking about weapons that are either underrated, overrated, or just need some clarification due to the changes in the meta from either, patch notes or player adaptation. So if we missed a gun that you would like us to cover, please let us know and we'll be glad to include it next time, all right? So the Frenzy took over the pistol meta in a huge way, right? After the multiple nerfs to the classic, the Frenzy quickly became the go-to weapon for many top NA pro teams. This was even apparent in ranked, as even non-aggressive agents were opting for the Frenzy. Once you master its spray control, it's really no-brainer. With its superb running accuracy and fully automatic capability, it just felt like a mini SMG on pistol round. So if you weren't running the Frenzy, you were missing out on kills that were otherwise just much harder to find with the Classic and Ghost. However, with Valorant's recent patch, the Frenzy got a credit increase from 400 to 500. So what does this mean for the Frenzy meta? Well, you may have missed this boat to abuse this weapon all day long, but the Frenzy is still exactly the same stat-wise. It still thrives at finding 1 or 2 kills in pistol rounds better than the other pistols. However, I will say this, the increase from 400 to 500 credits has limited its case uses for certain agents and won't really allow you to run a Frenzy with, light shields on those pistol rounds. Agents that didn't need to buy their utility would just run around with shields and a Frenzy just blasting their opponents away. So without this option, you're going to mainly want to use this pistol if you like to play close range and your agent doesn't happen to have very important utility they need to buy. Agents like Cypher, Breach, Sky, Killjoy, Sage, Omen, and Brimstone are usually going to get more value with the Classic and their abilities than getting that Frenzy or even Ghost purchase. However, agents like Jett, Raze, Reyna, Phoenix, and Sova are all very capable of utilizing the Frenzy much easier. And it's going to largely depend on if you like the Frenzy and if it's your playstyle. But overall, it's still a crazy good weapon, and it's definitely going to keep its place in the meta unless some real nerfs hit it in the future. Alright, so before we get into the rest of the video, we got a question of the day. Here we go. Are you guys excited for the first ever Valorant International Tournament? So it's been announced to be held in Iceland. We're really excited here at ProGuides to see how we're going to do against other regions. I think EU and Korea might come out swinging, but who really knows? Hopefully NA can really take home the first crown and cement our region as the dominant force in Valorant. Let me ask you this, who is your team that you guys are rooting for really to make it to Iceland? Let us know in the comments below. So in some of our previous gun videos, we've mentioned how powerful the Stinger is. And I even put the Stinger in the S tier for a very good reason. We mentioned how strong the Stinger was before it started getting mainstream in most Valorant elos. So for 1,000 credits at the time, it was arguably the highest value weapon in the game. Its ability to completely melt through full shields in a blink of an eye made this weapon extremely deadly at close range. Unfortunately, the days of forcing every round with the Stinger is no longer. It isn't a terrible gun, but the Stinger is definitely not aligned with what it should act like. Now at 1,100 credits, the Stinger has a very difficult time making the same kills happen. So the change to the recoil pattern at bullet number 3 instead of bullet number 6 makes the spray pattern almost unusable at longer ranges. So if you're fighting at extremely close ranges, the Stinger can still be quite viable, but players can easily keep their distance now without the same fear of being shredded to pieces by a running and gunning 1,000 credit weapon. So you may be wondering, what should we be using now that the Stinger is no longer the same beast it used to be? Let me tell you this, man, put on your seatbelts because I hope you guys are ready for the next weapon because it's the new bad boy in town that stings just as hard. The Bucky has always been a solid option, but the nerfs to the Stinger has specifically brought it out into the limelight. So it's crazy to think that a 900 credit gun has such an easy capability to one-shot within a 15-meter range. So to do this, you're going to need to get comfortable holding down an angle between 8 and 15 meters, crouching to tighten the spread, and then right-clicking. Anyone closer than that can and should be killed with your left-click shots. The Bucky is by no means a slouch at those super close range left clicks, but its real strength lies with that devastating one shot from a fairly long range right click. Not to mention its crazy good jump shot accuracy can be a great way to throw off your opponents. Missing the classic right click jumping meta? Well, the Buck's jump shot might be right up your alley. Importantly, all right, if you guys aren't using this weapon on save rounds, especially on defense, as you know, it's just easier for them to come to you, you are missing out on some free kills and potential wins, guys. Don't let others abuse this weapon without you getting in on a little bit of the fun. Keep this in mind that it's most likely going to get nerfed, but hey, there's really no reason why you can't abuse it while it's still strong. All right, so nothing has changed with the operator specifically since it got hit with nerfs a while back. However, players are getting more comfortable with the operator as it's just popping up more and more in our ranked games. So those of you who still think the operator days are over should reconsider. It's still really quite the menace on the defensive side if you're putting yourself in the right position. There's nothing that can really match the holding power of an operator, so make sure that you're posting on angles that give you a good sight line into high traffic areas. And being able to control A main or B main on any map with the operator, it's gonna secure your team great information in space. The operator isn't just a killing machine, but a tool that can give you more confidence to take control of the game. And I highly recommend you guys that you play agents that complement the operator like Jet, Omen, Raze, and Reyna, but any agent can really wield this weapon effectively on defense. However, I would say this, using verticality or mobility is going to allow you to play in cheekier positions that are just much harder to deal with. And if you guys want to know more about a specific weapon like the operator, we got some really great coaches at ProGuides who can really give you a crash course on any topic that you want to improve on. Chat with one that really interests you and just really start your journey towards rapid improvement. All right, guys, so the Odin was one of the first weapons to really show its potential to shake up the meta. To this day, I believe it's highly underutilized and it really thrives on the defensive side. Besides the operator, it's the second best gun at holding down areas, and due to its extremely high magazine size, you can keep shooting to your heart's content. The sound of the Odin spam alone, it's gonna strike fear into your opponents. So a good rule of thumb to follow is really to try aiming down sights and crouching with this weapon. It drastically just lowers the recoil and it's gonna allow you to continuously shoot if you need to. You can use the map to mark spots you like, to wall bang, or even just use it as a regular rifle. If the enemy doesn't kill you to the head right away, the sheer DPS will shred through anybody who underestimates this beast of a gun. At 0 credits, there is no other weapon that can really compete at this price range, all right? It is still crazy strong for what it is, even with the countless right-click nerfs it's received. In many situations, we found that it's just much more useful at finishing off targets when your primary weapon of choice runs out of ammo over the likes of a sheriff, for example. So it's important to note that it's no longer the right-click turn-off brain machine it used to be. Especially on pistol round, you're gonna wanna treat it more like the Ghost unless you're in a comfortable range to right-click. This is just because the right-click spread is just much larger, so you must be closer to hit multiple shots with the right-click now. Regardless, this weapon is just fairly balanced now, but it's still a solid weapon when used correctly. I'm gonna start by saying the Phantom is still OP, just because it's just such a staple weapon, and I really don't see it ever not being the case. Unless maybe Riot plans on adding new weapons into the game. And that being said, this section is actually to talk about the Vandal. Alright, so for a while, the Vandal has been a tough choice to take over the Phantom for a plethora of reasons. However, a big catalyst has been the changes to the running accuracy of rifles. Together with direct Vandal buffs and other indirect buffs through nerfs of the operator and stinger, shotguns, and others, it's really allowed it to really show its true potential. And I would say, objectively speaking, the Vandal was no longer in the shadow of the Phantom. It still is a close call and is really largely based on preference, but the Vandal was just OP once you learn how to really move like a champ while just tapping or bursting. So there's a reason why it's the go-to weapon for some of the best fraggers in the scene like Tins and Dicey. Alright, so just remember to focus on landing accurate shots, not just trying to kill them as fast as humanly possible. All you need is really one bullet, anywhere to the head hitbox. Panicking is a one-way ticket to death in a game like Valorant for sure. So this is our pick, guys, for the most underrated weapon in today's meta. With the rifle movement accuracy being hit, standing still accuracy is becoming more of a hot commodity. The Guardian excels at that, and in the right hands, it's really something to be afraid of. It's received multiple buffs over the span of Valorant, but I think it could really just use just a little more. And personally, I think it's great at just keeping a distance and taking those long-range fights. Pair this with light shields, and it's not as expensive as you might think. I see this weapon really being particularly strong on the defensive side of the maps like Split, Ascent, and Icebox. So the Guardian is basically a high-powered version of the Vandal that's cheaper. But it has a lower magazine size and it can't be shot fully automatic. But I do think it is extremely deadly for those of you precise one-tap machines. Who said you can't kill on a budget in Valorant? So the Valorant meta is constantly shifting, right? And it can always be hard to always keep up to date. So we got all of that covered for you guys, but if you want to learn more about anything else Valorant related, head on over to ProGuides.com for the best Valorant on-demand coaching. So our coaches, man, they're top rated players that have way more to share than we can cover in this single video. Hey, if you guys liked the video, hope you like it, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to connect with me on my Instagram, please do so at Your Motivation Guy. Hey guys, keep grinding, never stop, and I'll see you soon.